So Belinda's asked me to talk about our Wellness Walks thing and how we built a green social enterprise. Have I got that right? We've had lots of chats and it's changed a few times. So the first thing to say is we're not Wellness Walks. That is a brand. It's our brand that we deliver to the public. We are Mental Health Northwest CIC Limited. I'm a little bit ADHD, which those of you know will laugh about. I need things to tell you what they do. So that's who we are. That's what funders like. But surprise, surprise, when we ran events as Mental Health Northwest, they weren't that subscribed to because people don't like labels. When we started calling it Wellness Walks, suddenly everything we do is sold out. So a little bit about us. We are a company limited by guarantee. Unlike Andy, we are not a charity. And this stuff will matter when we look at funding later on. We're a social enterprise, which is what we like to call ourselves in the UK. Nobody else knows what that means. So we are a not-for-profit organisation, and suddenly Microsoft and Google know what that means. And all those weird things that I have to raise money for that I hate paying for but are just part of life aren't, because they'll recognise that you're doing good deeds. And finally, we're a company with a legally obligated charitable purpose. I know there's at least one person here who knows my wife, who's a chartered accountant. That stuff matters. It means very little to me. I don't really get it, but I know it means a lot to the people who we ask to give money to. So we tell them what we're going to do and that it will be charitable. I'm not going to trouser it. I'm not going to pay for holidays for me. It's going to go on the participants, which is the bit that matters. So it goes on Wellness Walks, which has a stated purpose. As many people as possible, in as many places as possible, to go on totally free events. So, a little bit about us. So that's me. I think when we cast an eye around rooms like this, certainly the three of us that stood up, we look fit and healthy. You can't see what's going on the inside. As Richard said really, really eloquently, everybody has a backstory. So that's me happy. There are lots of versions of me that existed that were not happy, but that's always the me that's happy. My really simplistic hypothesis is if that makes me happy, it can probably make other people happy. So that's me. I live in the most confused place in Britain. So I am in Cumbria. I'm also in the Yorkshire Dales National Park. I have a Carlisle postcode and a Kendal telephone number. Most days, those people who know me will know I don't really know where I am. So that's me with a good little idea. And then COVID came and ring-fenced us. I had to tag my pictures on Facebook, walked from my door. I'm very, very lucky. I live in a beautiful place. I can walk out the door. But also, I've worked in mental health for a long time. I'm a former trustee of the Samaritans. I'm still an active volunteer. And we were just hammered with people who suddenly were forced to stay in their house, couldn't move. So I read the rules, and it said we could go out with one other person. So I offered to do that because I'm a freelancer, or I was a freelancer, and I wasn't getting paid, and I was going out every day. It seemed like a win. I didn't know a family friend would stick that on ITV's website overnight, and I woke up to 3,000 people asking if I would take them out. There are not the hours, the days, the means, the way to do it. So that's what I did. I'm really lucky I could take people nice places. I remember meeting a policeman just outside Ambleside. I could see him stopping every car. I'm like, oh, crap. And I'd got my little thing saying I'm a key worker. And I got to him and he wound the window down. I went, mate, before you say anything, that is amazing, mate. Can I come? And he waved us through. People are nearly always nicer than we think they're going to be. Then at one of these events, I met the legend that is Julia Clifford. And she told me, you know, people get paid for doing what you do. I said, well, yeah, but, not everybody can afford what I do. You can't afford to hire me as a guy. So, no. The council will pay for it. I beg your pardon? That's very different. So Julia got us funded down in Millham. We still, 3 years later, are running weekly walk and talk sessions in Millham. But that's about it. That's about what I can do. But that was really, really successful, and it picked up the eyes of quite a few different funders. So we're very much a partnership organisation, so we do this in conjunction with Mind. But they introduced us to other people. And suddenly our map started to look like that. Now, that is not all me. I can't do that much in a week or in a month. We started to bring people on board. I've got 3 other directors. 2 of them are practitioners, so they do deliver events. But now, if I put my other head on, and I have to be careful because there's lots of academics here, but my little psychologist head, I've got what's called a replicable model. Because the people of Cumbria are a little bit odd, but we're not that odd. If it works for us, it probably works for the people in Lancashire. Even some, I'm not allowed to go over this line, that's really bad for people who are diverse like me, I really don't. Can't see them anymore, can you? Even the people in Wales. I feel really, really bad for Beth, who's up in Pitlochry, but we have a funded by a GP walk happening every week up in Pitlochry because we can replicate it. So what we looked at is we know quite a few professionals, but they've got to earn a wage. What we started to find was it was the people coming on our walks were our focus, but their journey started to be important. So we started to have a volunteer program where we train you. And that's what we're looking like at the end of this year. And several of these repeats. That's how many walks are on the website now, all totally free to participants. And that's our aim for the end of next year. So I think most people who end up in this room understand what they want to do. For us, it's an ABC model. That's our therapeutic model. We will provide access. Everything we do is totally free. We will provide belief, by which I mean skills, or we'll believe in you, we'll be really positive about it, and ultimately we'll welcome you into our community. And it should get you outdoors. That's the easy bit, having a good idea. How do you make that idea happen? And this is the bit that I think not everybody gets. You've got to build an organisation. You can do a lot as one person. You can do a lot more as an organisation. You can do even more as a community. So our business model is that it has to be sustainable, it has to be resilient, and what we do has to be effective. For me, as an outdoor person, I have a really simple measure of have I made something sustainable, resilient, and effective. My group will go and walk in the rain. Now that sounds pathetic, but I absolutely promise you 95% of people do not go for a walk when it's raining. So we'll provide you with equipment, we'll encourage you, we'll take you for coffee and cake afterwards. Just step outside and discover you don't melt. So what do I mean by that? If I look at sustainable, there is no magic money tree. The Tories are going to start throwing money at you for 12 months, but there is no magic money tree. You have to go find it, but you have to have a thing that can look after itself, because the money can just disappear. Anybody who ran a social enterprise pre-COVID will know that a massive proportion of their funding disappeared during COVID because everything went to emergency measures. So you had to have an organisation that could survive. We call this our Thanos test. If I click my fingers and the money goes, does the organisation stay? Well, yes, it does, because we built a community. So everything we do is free. And then there's the last little bit that I know Belinda likes the most. Are we leaving a legacy? So that's what we started to look at. If I look at some of our funded stuff, funding partners are happy to fund for a while. They don't want to fund forever. So what they want to do is leave a legacy behind. So is it resilient? Yes. Can you fund this stuff, the stuff that nobody sees? Our website costs us a fortune. No funding partner wants to pay for that. No funding partner wants to pay for uniforms. So we have to have a model where we can do that. One of the ways we've chosen to do that is find companies that have a social conscience. So Microsoft and Google, good or bad, a huge amount of help for stuff if you call yourself a not-for-profit. Up where I am, in my little corner of the world, Sellafield. I have no issue taking money off bad people to do good things, wherever the side of that. Sellafield are by far and away the largest funding pot in Cumbria. They'll fund stuff that we don't see. So we'll deliver training to them. We will absolutely charge them top dollar. I would not charge any of you that, but we will definitely charge them that. And it will pay for all the little bits that people don't see. Do we make a profit? Well, we're a not-for-profit. It turns out, my accountant wife got very annoyed at this, you cannot defer your tax until a government you like comes along. So I will not pay money to Richie Sunak. I cannot be any clearer about that. Whatever your belief structures, I'm not doing it. So we invest, and we invest in people. Every time we make a little surplus charging Sellafield for its training, we just put on a new event. Have we built a team? I'm going to come to that next. But yes, because little me was one dot on that map, and now there are dots everywhere. So how did we do that? We did it by involving communities, the last little bit of our ABC model. So where we're at today is communities ask us, can you bring wellness walks to our community? Yes, we can. There's a cost. You go away and deal with the funding part of it. We'll deliver this and we'll tell you what you'll get for your money. Does that make sense? Is it effective? So Andy touched on this nicely. Yes, people want to know that they've spent their money doing a good thing. I think funding partners have every right to know that. Very much like Andy, we do before and after surveys. Those of you from a more therapeutic background might recognise this. It's the same WebWeb survey that most NHS trusts use. And we measure things by that. So suddenly, funders, especially people like Sellafield, where they might just be stuck in an office, really, really, really like a graph. A graph's really good. I prefer people. So we make sure we get people to tell us their stories. So quantitative, qualitative, this funders like, this people like is my experience. These buttons don't like me. Yeah. And are we building a thing that will last? That's the legacy part. And we're doing that via community. So historically, this is what community's been. It's been that you're part of West Cumbria or Mid Copeland or Bradford. But I don't think that is community anymore. I'm a fairly friendly sort. I know about a dozen people in my village. I've lived there 25 years. I know all the people that I wrap myself in. I think I know most people in what would traditionally call itself the mountaineering community. So we looked at different communities because actually where I live is massively socially isolated, quite wealthy. But people don't meet people from day to day. Choose to meet people within their own little groups. So we looked at different forms of community. Oh, it's done it again. There we go. So we build a community. When we do our volunteer training scheme, we put people into a little community, we support them, and they'll take that out into their larger community. And this is the example that Belinda likes. So that's the coastal path in Wales. Out of the blue, one day, got a phone call from a social prescriber in Gwynedd Council saying, I've been on the website, I like what you do, how do we make you come to us? Brilliant, that's loads of hours of my life sorted. They've recruited 8 participants. All of those 8 participants will go through our training programme and they will pay back the cost of their training by delivering a minimum of 12 walks for 6 people, so we're quite small little therapeutic groups. This is the bit I really like that the person in the council told me. This is why I'm married to an accountant. I'm laughing at Claire there. If you take 8 and times it by 12 and times it by 6, my head hurts now, it is 576. And if you divide the cost of our programme that we've charged them, you get to £9.56, which is a prescription. So they can charge this and put a little stack effectively of 576 prescription scripts for a day in the outdoors on a table. They absolutely got that. I'm driving down to Wales next week to meet all of their counterparts because people get it. It's a really quick, easy, visible win, but it's a community-led initiative. It starts with this. It's really easy to just focus on this, and that's wonderful. That's the beginning of every journey. But we want that to happen everywhere. And we've done it by partnerships with people. That definitely needs updating. Oh, no, it doesn't. See, I just didn't get the buttons thing. Yeah. All of these people have had a little say. So some of these are direct funding organisations. So you said about family trusts, the Scott Trusts. Some of these are community organisations, and some of them, where's the wonderful meantime? Some of them down there are really quite big private enterprises that want to do some good. We deliver their training. Their boss is very bright. He knows you could get that training cheaper. But every time they book a training course with us, we take 8 people out into the outdoors for a whole day. Looks good on his website, puts a smile on his face. I make 8 people happy rather than 1. That's us. I'm ahead of time.